Hey, welcome back to the Infinite Woman Universe Show. I'm your host, Angela, and today we're all about embodying freedom. So if you struggle with feeling free, if you struggle with being stuck, with being trapped, if you struggle with not really being able to live on your terms, you're feeling like you'll never be able to live the life that you truly want to, or even run a business your way, stay tuned because this show is for you. Hey, I'm Angela Turpin, trauma healer and self-sabotage slayer. I help solo line service providers and trauma coaches slay self-sabotage so they can embody freedom, live on their terms, and do business their way. And let's get into this content because I feel like it's so important. If you have been following me now for any length of time, you know that I have constantly talked about freedom. It's even in my elevator pitch, right? The why I do what I do so that you can embody freedom. But what does that truly mean? What does the embodiment of freedom actually mean? And how the heck do you even do that? Let me give you a little bit of a backstory. I have been chasing freedom for I don't know how long. Forever and ever and ever. I'm pretty sure since I was a child, okay? I am a Sagittarius. It is in my blood to want to feel free and be free. And so it has been a huge thing for me in my life. And in the last couple of months, especially after leaving my very abusive relationship and after having a child and all of those things, freedom had become the number one thing that I had always wanted. But I felt like I was so focused on it and so attached to it that I had completely repelled it out of my life. And I didn't realize probably until a couple of months ago that the reason why I was repelling it out of my life had more to do with me chasing it rather than believing that I already am free or embodying it. And so when I realized this or had this epiphany, I realized that this is why I was constantly feeling stuck, constantly feeling trapped and sabotaging my businesses and being in relationships where I felt like I was constantly controlled, and I absolutely was in my last relationship, controlled at every moment. And even if I were to do a YouTube video like this, and if we were still together, he'd probably flip out and I'd have to take it down, to avoid the confrontation. So I stopped chasing freedom and decided to embody freedom. And the more and more that I've realized what freedom really means to me, the easier that it's become. So how do you actually embody freedom? First and foremost, you need to really figure out what freedom looks like and feels like to you. Yes, freedom really is truly about believing that you're already free, and it is truly internal. But the thing is that your outside circumstances, your environment, the people that you're around, it does impact how you see yourself, it impacts how you feel, and it impacts the way that you're actually able to embody what it is that you want to embody. Are they conducive to you being free? Are they conducive to you being safe? Right? I'm going to get into that in a second. I want you to really dive into this, get a journal, get a cup of coffee, and just really go all the way there on truly what you want freedom to look like, okay? And then the next thing that you want to do is what actions and behaviors must you start executing on so that you can feel free, so that you can start embodying this freedom, so that you are feeling safe, so that everything in your environment is truly conducive to what it is that you want your free life to look like. If you are not taking the actions, if you are not changing your identity and changing your behaviors, then none of this actually matters. You are not going to be free if you do not develop habits and routines that are not helping you become the best version of yourself. It's just not possible. So you've got to figure out what your actions must be that you need to start taking. The third thing that you want to do is you want to heal childhood trauma. And the reason why you want to heal childhood trauma is because if you are still holding on to your past, you will never be free. And I know that this is crazy because as I've healed my trauma, I still feel like there's like residual impact there. And even though it comes in layers and layers and layers and layers, I am much more free today than I was, say, 10 years ago. So healing your trauma is going to be a very critical piece to this. And it's going to be a very critical piece to this because, again, if you do not heal your trauma will show up everywhere, including your business. And if you want to see what that might look like, check out this video here. The next thing that you want to do is unlearn your unhealthy childhood conditioning. This is one of the biggest things that's actually keeping you from freedom. Those voices that you hear in your head about doubt and criticizing you and judging you and feeling like you can't do anything, it's not even yours. I know that that's crazy. And if you really struggle with the voices going on in your head, the doubt, the bully, the critic, the judger, all of those things, make sure you check out my course, Self-Sabotage Slayer, because it will take care of all of that in a heartbeat. So you want to make sure that you are unlearning your unhealthy childhood conditioning. This is going to be critical because ultimately what this did is shape you into something and someone that you're truly not. And when you let go of this conditioning, you become who you're meant to be at your core. This is going to be critical. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you are feeling safe on a regular basis. What I have learned in my life over the last few months especially is that the more safe I feel, the more free I feel, which is crazy because we think that they're not connected, but they absolutely are. Since I have been focusing on feeling safe, the more uncomfortable conversations I have, the more boundaries that I hold, the more I stop, the less I run back to what's been hurting me, right? The less I sabotage, which ultimately creates freedom. The more safe I feel, the more I show up as authentically myself. The more I say, the more opinions I share. So I want you to be aware that safety is highly correlated to feeling free or embodying this freedom. So if you don't know how you can necessarily embody this freedom while you have trapped trauma and all of these things, then focus on just healing your trauma and unlearning unhealthy childhood conditioning, because this will help you feel safe. And this will then help you feel free. The more you focus on freedom, the more you focus on safety, the more free you will feel. Now, feeling safe and being in your comfort zone are not the same. Usually what happens when you feel safe is you step out of your comfort zone more and more and more and more, which I find myself doing more and more and more. I have never had so many opportunities come to me before in my life because I have been focusing on how safe I feel, and then this is impacting my personal life, and then of course it's impacting my business because I am having these uncomfortable conversations, because I am sticking to these boundaries. And if you struggle with boundaries, make sure you check out this video here. So I urge you to focus on safety. Safety is going to be the key to all of this, and safety truly comes from healing your childhood trauma and unlearning unhealthy childhood conditioning. When you do this, you ultimately slay self-sabotage. But if you're truly struggling with self-sabotage and you can't really invest, or you don't really know what to do with investing and how to get there, you're unsure, whatever the case may be, make sure you check out this playlist that is all about healing self-sabotage. This is how you embody freedom. Embodiment of freedom is so huge. And I know that I've rambled on and on and on and never once have asked you to like or subscribe or share to the channel. So make sure you do. I would love to hear from you. Have you been chasing freedom so much you feel like you never have it? Or what has been your experience about freedom and creating it in your life? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you, and I cannot wait to see you next week.